Okay.
Nico, how are you doing today?
Hi, Austin. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining, man. Thanks for joining. Where about are you? It seems sunny, and
It's
it's not
still
sunny
sunny.
in London.
Yes, I'm in West London right now.
Oh,
It's
West London.
yeah,
Okay.
that's
I mean,
true.
I'm in Southeast. It was raining earlier. It looks like it's about to rain again. It's just
Really,
grey. Yeah, it's just grey.
it's it's a classic British weather.
Yeah. Cool. So thank you so much for joining me. I usually start by asking guests how they got into SEO. So with that said, how did you become an SEO professional?
This is like a $1 million question.
I love that question because everyone who I speak with got into SEO in a different way, and I love finding out how they got into it.
Yeah, exactly. Because now, like, people can even study to do that probably, but maybe if you started 10 years ago, there wasn't a university or
Yeah,
something. But yeah, I'll give you my story, I guess.
sure, go for
So
it.
it actually comes from a relatively sad place at first, but then it turns into a positive story. So basically, I came to the UK when I was 23 years old. And at the time, I was a bit naive, maybe. I was like, oh, I'm going to make six figures, go back to Italy, I do whatever, a little bit optimistic, maybe. But at the time, I didn't really speak English very well. So for me, it was a bit of a challenge. And the obvious thing for me to stay here and build a little bit of experience was to start working in restaurants and retail. I was pulling like 12-hour shifts, like 6 days a week. It was quite challenging. To be completely honest with you, when I had a day off, I really needed it just to sleep, really. So it was quite tough at the beginning, I have to say. But then at some point, something like clicked in me, and I was like, let's try and do something about this. Like, I can't keep living this way. So I started looking into making money online and all these sort of things. And then I came across SEO, almost like by mistake, I guess. And the first thing that I've ever done was, I still remember it, an Amazon associate affiliate website about dehumidifier reviews in Italian. So it was very, very specific. The reason why I chose that was because they're relatively high ticket items.
Oh,
And as you know,
I've
Amazon
lost you
doesn't
there.
pay very high commissions. So if you could sell only one or two, you would still make some decent money. So the project never really took off like exponentially, but it gave me some basic understandings of creating a WordPress site, getting some pages indexed, familiarizing with Search Console, etc., etc. So then I used that as a portfolio, really. I took a few screenshots and made like a nice sort of like case study for the few things that I was able to achieve. And then I got a job offer in Hong Kong, where I went to live for 2 years. That was more of a in-house marketing role in a small startup. And then 2 years after that, I moved back to the UK in one of the big ones, the big SEO, the big agencies. I won't say the name, but probably if you're in SEO, you probably heard about them basically. But anyway, long story short, couple of years of experience there. And then actually today, 3 years ago, I went self-employed. It was the 27th of September 2019. And then, yeah, I've been a freelancer since and never looked back.
Yeah. How you finding the solo riding solo?
Okay, so this is a tricky question because there are highs and lows, I guess. For example, I was just recently in the US and I was still able to work from there. I also worked from Greece. So people tend to always show the nice side of things when you're freelancing. They're like, oh, look at me, I left my 9 to 5, etc. But then people don't often show the darker side, like when you have to do your own taxes, for example. You have to learn about all, like finding clients, like what are you going to do? Like if you don't find clients, you don't put food on the table. So there are pros and cons, but I would say for the most part, I'm really happy where I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lasted for 3 years, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. The freedom it gives you, I'm sure you love that as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely my favorite part.
What would you say is your favorite part of SEO? Are you more of an all-rounder, or do you have are you technical or on page or off page?
I can tell you what I don't like about SEO, which is
Okay.
the outreach side of things. Like even for my clients, these days. I always try to outsource it or find like an agency that can support me with that. But I've done a bit of that in the past, but I'm more of a content and on-page guy.
Yeah, I find outreach these days, you either have to be specialized in it, or pretty much you got to be a PR person, especially particularly the outreach side of off-page SEO.
And it's so time consuming.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So a lot of clients, they have this impression that they don't really need SEO because they already get traffic via organic search. So what do you say to clients who say to you, why do I need SEO? It's free.
Yeah, this is a very common question. I can agree with that. If I had to summarize it, you're leaving money on the table. This is the shortest answer that I can give. If you want to delve a little bit more into that, is that sure, you will be getting some traffic at some point. Just by having a website, you are realistically at some point, at least for branded terms, going to get some traffic. But there is an upside of things that you can do. Like you can always, it is called optimization for some reason, right? So you can always, for example, look into internal linking, creating new content clusters, or you could revise some ranking factors, making sure that the site is crawlable. So by going through all these type of things, obviously you will be able to further increase traffic, which will likely convert into revenue, of course.
Do you find that clients come to you when everything is all good? Or is it a case of something's happened to their website and then they realize, oh shit, we need SEO, and then they come to you?
This is the stereotypical case. Huge algorithm update or migration gone wrong, these type of things. And they're like, oh, we lost 70% of our traffic. What can we do? At that point, it's a bit too late. And I always go back to them like, you need to probably look into a year time. Maybe it could be less, maybe it could be more, but to recover it, of course, there are many factors depending on your authority and many things, but once it's lost, it's very, very hard because basically you're telling Google, my site is not worth being in first position. They find somebody else to replace you. It's much harder to convince Google to take you back to the same spot where you were, in my experience at least.
And with algorithm changes, we've recently had the helpful content updates, and now even more recently, the September algo updates. What do you say to people who believe that Google's out to get them, to hurt their business with all these algorithm updates? So
from what I can say, Google is not out to, I mean, it is out to get some people, but I feel like the goal that Google has is always to serve the best page that matches the search intent of the user. So, of course, if you are putting out spammy links or like thin content or things that aren't really adding much value, these algorithms will keep coming out. And with AI and stuff, Google is becoming better and better at this. So, of course, if you're out for a quick win, quick buck, like rank and dump sort of thing, you can probably still do it, but it will become progressively harder.
And these days, in fact, throughout, as far as SEOs have been around, as long as I can remember, everyone has this almost like a rhetoric that SEO takes 3 to 6 months to work, to be successful. Yeah. Does it take that length of time? And what's your response to that?
I'll give you 2 angles to this. Mm-hmm. You could be indexed and ranked within 24 hours if you are the BBC, or even less, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a lot of authority. Or maybe if you're in a small niche where there isn't much competition. Or it could take up to, even a year if you want to rank for like payday loans or something very competitive like in crypto, finance, or this type of industries that are much more competitive, then it will definitely take a longer period of time. So obviously every case is different. Like the type of clients that I get, they're usually medium-sized businesses. They're either in e-commerce or like different sectors. So obviously I would have some previous experience that I worked with other clients, and it's a bit easier for me to give them an answer after auditing their site, basically.
Okay, so let's take technical audits as an example. Usually when a client receives a technical audit, it's then down to them to go ahead and implement that. Yeah. When they pass on the recommendations to a dev person, they might get a lot of pushback from said dev person. How can clients best implement recommendations?
I think specifically from a technical point of view, I often notice that the dev team sees a recommendation simply as a ticket, and they mark it as resolved, and that's their job done. But that could have serious repercussions on your SEO. So I think the best way is to integrate the different departments within an agency or company, and try to get everyone to speak with SEO before the designer comes up with a new completely homepage revamp. It's always worth having a chat with the SEO team in the first place. And then to convince people of the importance of things, I always try to frame it in a revenue forecast. Like if we do this, we will likely achieve that, which will give us X, Y, Z. So try to make it as like planned out as possible. Of course, you can never really know with Google, but this is the strategy and approach that I usually have.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I find that from an SEO point of view, I think we have a very good relationship with content writers, copywriters. Not so much with developers. They are a different type of people. They tend to have a lot of pushback to recommendations, or requests, I should say. And they are very much a case of, they see it as it's a slight on their work sort of thing. And they don't particularly like SEO, so they don't really want to work on SEO related work. So they try to push back as much as possible. And that battle I find is always interesting, because I think a lot of developers, if they do spend the time to understand SEO and where we're coming from, we think, a lot of the times we think similar to the way they think, I find.
Yeah, no, that's true. And adding on top of this, I would say there is also a difference if you're working with a big company, huge, like corporation, multinational, with a lot of teams, and the decision-making process will have to go through several layers, versus a small startup or a local listing for a local business, where the owner is often the person that also works on their site. Obviously, you will get much less pushback if you can directly work with the person. So there is also that component to keep in mind. But for sure, yeah, the dev don't like us.
Yeah, hopefully we can integrate them like we've done with copywriters. Because some time ago, copywriters, they didn't like us either. When it comes to copy, there are some people who still believe that, or who have the opinion that copy can be written by copywriters and it can also be written by SEOs. What's your view on SEOs writing copy?
SEOs writing copy, I think like there are different scenarios, right? Like the SEO would probably look more at making sure that all the elements are fully optimized, or maybe it will think more to rank for the engine and the algorithm. This is just my assumption. And a copywriter maybe would have a more like maybe less technical approach to the content creation, I would say.
Yeah, it's about merging the two ways of thinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
SEOs writing copy, all in SEOs writing copy, that leads to Panda.
Yeah, basically. Exactly.
And speaking of Panda, what would you say has been your favorite algorithm update?
My favorite algorithm of the
Yeah.
So the two famous one, Panda, and I always forget the name of the other one.
Penguin?
Penguin, yes, that's the one. Yeah, they both start with P. Yeah, basically the link and the thing counter stuff. Those are the two famous one, and probably actually when they came out, I wasn't even involved in SEO, so I learned about them afterwards. So I would think probably that if you did SEO, let's say, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, your day-to-day like work would have looked significantly different than how it looks today. Probably you would be out speaking with bloggers, buying links and all these sort of things, which now is, I've never really seen it really in the past 5-10 years, basically.
Yeah, a lot of agencies have moved away from the whole linking aspect of SEO. It tends, from what I've seen, it tends to be more either someone who's very specialized in outreach, or they outsource to a PR person or get a PR person involved with it. They tend to shy away from links, and they definitely refrain from using the term buying links.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
So you've worked at agencies, and also you're now going solo, building your own company. What has been your experience working within an agency? How's agency life?
I would say working for an agency is great, especially if you're just starting out. Like, you will be in touch with so many experienced people from all paths of life, and like the hours are a bit longer compared with maybe like in-house, I would say. But I think you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot in a shorter period of time. And honestly, after I put some agency names on my CV, recruiters started coming in, and it really adds value to your skill set, basically. And yeah, I would, if I was to like speak to myself like 10 years ago, I would definitely be like, yeah, do a couple of years in an agency, learn, get exposure to a lot of different clients, and then you can learn from there and then pick it up, which is kind of what I did.
Do you have a favorite vertical?
Oh, favorite vertical? I quite like the travel industry because I enjoy traveling myself. Obviously, these past 2 years, we haven't really traveled much. But no, I think I like enabling people and travel companies to give people a good time, going on holidays and seeing places. I like the idea of facilitating that.
And it's always interesting to see how the SERPs look vertical to vertical, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I've talked a lot about Google, and in fact, a lot of SEOs, when they talk about SEO, Google's like the default, right? We now have TikTok, which is very quickly climbing up, and I'm seeing a number of articles now saying that TikTok could be a legit threat to Google. Do you think TikTok can ever overtake Google as the default search engine for, let's say, that overtake Google as the default search engine?
I would say this answer comes in two sections. The first is a very direct no. It won't overtake Google. But the second bit is that I think just today I read somewhere, I don't know if it was on LinkedIn, TikTok is trying to expand the number of characters that you can use in the description. And that's probably targeting. Some statistics are showing that Gen Zs are using more TikTok to look for things than like millennials or older people. So I think TikTok is here to stay. These video things like will probably keep evolving and growing, but when you are in Google, you can look for videos, you can look for organic results, you can look for maps, local listings, like the variety of search intents that you can be served on Google is probably not matchable with TikTok as of today, at least. So for this reason, I started with saying no.
Okay. Speaking of TikTok and content, a lot of people view content in different ways, right? And these days they consider content to be video, specifically video, whereas let's say 10, 15 years ago, content was copy on a page. How do you define content from an SEO point of view?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I kind of touched base on this in some previous question, but at the end of the day, whatever matches the search intent of the user, that is content. So it could take the shape of a video, of a hero piece, or even like a very small page. Like I'm assuming if somebody types emergency plumber in Birmingham, they don't want a 5,000 word piece about plumbers in Birmingham. They want like a phone number, something quick to fix their emergency, right? So probably that search intent doesn't require a long piece, you know. But then if somebody is looking for, I don't know, ancient maps, it would probably be more visual. So it would be more like image listings. So content could take the shape of different forms, to be honest.
Okay, so if a business has a website, when would you suggest is the best time for them to start their SEO?
Yesterday, probably. Of course, I'm joking here, but I think if you can find the budget, honestly, as soon as possible, because obviously it's a channel that is slow. It's not like PPC that you can turn it on and off. So to build it up, it takes time. So the earlier you start, the better, really.
And where would you say is the best place for someone to start with their SEO? Should it be technical content or on-page based, or should they just get links?
Yeah, yeah. This is context dependent, obviously. Is it a new site started from scratch? Is it a well-established website? What vertical is it? Is it like some regulated type of industry? So there are many things to keep into account, but I'll give you my blueprint. I'm giving it here for your subscribers.
Sure.
So basically, what I usually do is when I get a new client or somebody that comes to me, I always look at technical first. You cannot rank like a site that is like preventing the crawlers to go through and index the pages. So technical for me is very important, making sure that all the robots files are up to speed and everything, like page speed and all the elements are checked out. Then once I make sure that the technical is sufficient, I move on to the content side of things. I look at like the top high-level categories and I try to see, so this is all the content stuff. What are you currently doing? What are you ranking for? What could you do better with? Usually to do this, I use tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs to see what competitors are doing and then try to replicate some of those successes or maybe take an approach like starting from low keyword difficulty terms and start building a new cluster from there, and et cetera, et cetera. Once we exhausted the content creation for a specific subcategory and we're still not performing, then it's time to look into the link building. So this is the blueprint that I usually follow.
Okay. And if once a business has invested in SEO, is there an endpoint to SEO for them to say, okay, we've done our SEO, that's it. Let's move on to another channel?
I feel like you're asking me all the tricky questions today. No, I think SEO is an ongoing investment. And I'm not saying this just because it's in my interest to keep a client. It's actually Google algorithm updates actually they happen all the time. New competitors are coming in the space, and they're hungry to take your rankings. So if you don't stay on top of things, you will simply miss out and lose, basically. So for these couple of reasons already, you can see how you need to at least have an SEO person always taking care of the website, basically.
And I've worked with a number of clients that still view SEO as something they do before launching a product or updating the site, for example. So they have copy, they have developers, they have designers even in the room in briefing, and SEO is right at the end before before the site or product launches. Where does SEO fit within the overall digital marketing space?
So my view obviously is a bit skewed, and I am a supporter of SEO, so take it with a pinch of salt. However, I would say that SEO should be involved since the beginning, because if you make a start and then you realize later down the line that you need to tweak things, it will be much harder to revert to a specific structure or choice after it's being made. Whereas if it can be informed first and planned out, like, I don't know, 6, 12, 18 months in advance, then obviously I feel like, in my experience, it will be a much smoother transition, and you will not jeopardize the potential upside of SEO, basically.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as you were saying that, I just had a flashback to when I think it was a year or two ago when ASOS bought out Topshop or Topman, and they essentially shut down the Topman website. Didn't redirect any of it to the ASOS site. And I could just imagine the board making a decision to shut down the site and doing so without an SEO person in the room. And I thought to myself, Topman, Topshop, that site has been around for a good 10 years, at least, easily 25 years probably. And just like that, they decided just to, take it all out. And it just shows that having SEO in the room, a simple thing is having SEO in the room, whether it's the start of a project or new business, whatever it is, if it involves a website, have an SEO person in the room from the briefing stage, as you mentioned. Otherwise, it can be painful.
Can only imagine like the amount of traffic that they must have missed out on.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, it was a shame, but
yeah,
there we go. Would you say SEO is easier or more difficult now than it was, let's say, 5-10 years ago?
Okay, so I've purely been doing SEO for maybe the past 5-7 years. So I wouldn't know in first person how it was maybe 10.
Let's say 5 years ago. Yeah.
But I can already see the difference, because on this side, I run some small affiliate site and some side projects. And I can tell the time it takes for things to rank is much longer already versus 5 years ago. And that tells me that probably there are so many more people that want a slice of SEO. And actually now you just brought to a memory. Like when we first went into lockdown, around March 2020 or so, many budgets were stopped for PPC and stuff. And I feel like a lot of brands realized that they didn't really have a presence at the time. And since then, I've seen a spike in demand for SEO services. Honestly, it's been growing and growing. Even if you go on Google Trends and you type SEO agency, you can see it's been really growing a lot. So the demand is there, but also the number of SEOs is there. So I think there are many components that play into this, but going back to the original question, it's probably harder now than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, the demand has grown, so has the number of SEOs in the industry. And so, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that because a lot of new people came into the market, doesn't mean that everyone has had 5-10 years experience. So sometimes this could cause problems with people getting better SEOs and giving us a bad reputation, and that would be a completely different podcast, I guess.
Yeah. So someone who's someone who's interested in SEO, how would you suggest they get into the industry and become an SEO professional?
Yeah, I think the best thing that you can do is try and build a website. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, obviously, if you like the topic, it would be better because it keeps you motivated. But just install a WordPress theme, just these little things yourself. Work out what to write about, make some mistakes, see the website not performing or anything, and try to analyze it yourself. If you can build one website and get a few things ranking, you will get the fundamentals, basically. And now, obviously, there are so many courses online and things that someone can do. But the best thing is getting your hands dirty, I think, because that's when back to your first question. How did I get into SEO? I actually built that affiliate website, and that really taught me so much. And then the more you learn, the more you're keen on learning more, and then you start following some people. They give you like some tips, and then you try to implement those, and then you see the result, and then you get super excited, and then you keep going. And that's how I really love SEO, really.
Yeah, I find the passion for SEO, like SEOs, there's something about seeing your work on Google or whatever search engine, in fact, and knowing what it took to get there and knowing how you're helping people. It's difficult to explain, but there's a connection that SEOs have with seeing results after all the work they've done, and the passion for SEOs. I find that true SEOs, are extremely passionate about the industry. The one thing I would say about SEO is maybe it's slightly different now because we have courses and whatnot. But let's say 5-7 years ago, someone who wanted to learn SEO pretty much had to learn it themselves, right? They had to spend their time learning SEO and find a passion within there. And that is a beautiful thing. The downside to that is there is some sort of like an imposter syndrome that a lot of SEOs tend to feel, especially because there wasn't a certificate to say, yes, you know SEO, you can do X, Y, and Z, right? You had to literally show it with the website you build, with helping clients, and etc. How do you manage imposter syndrome in the industry?
Yeah, I kind of learned to live with it. I think, even though, like, honestly, I've been driving like hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue to my clients, so I think I have at least a basic understanding of how the industry works. I still occasionally think, oh, could I be doing something more like this, or maybe I don't really know this. And this is like your self-doubt, your little voice inside your head that gives you this type of self-doubt. But at the same time, I don't do this for them. Of course, it pays the bills, but I don't do it for the money. When I get a client that emails me like, oh, that's great, we got to position 1 for XYZ, or it's really nice working with you, or like somebody that maybe read something that I wrote on LinkedIn, and then they tell me, oh, that's been very helpful, thank you. Like, this makes up for all the imposter syndrome that I have, basically, and keeps validating that I'm doing something positive and I'm putting a value out there.
Yeah. SEO, in a strange way, is the way that we connect with people, with the world, because we're solving problems, right? Every search, every Google is a problem waiting to be addressed, and we help people address those problems. In the industry, in the years to come, however many years, where do you see SEO going?
I see a lot of talk about AI. I follow some people that talk about this a lot. And I think there's going to be a component of that for sure. in the coming year, both from the search engine side, but also from the content creation side. But I think ultimately what will be, like, Google exists because of the value that it creates, the reliability and the trust that people have in it. So the technology will change, the way things will be, like content will be created, maybe sites will be faster, robots will help us more, but the final goal stays the same, I think, like providing a valuable answer to a specific question. So so long as that stays as a core value to Google or any search engine, then we will change the way we achieve that, but we will still go after the same results.
Do you think any search engine can overtake Google's dominance, apart from Baidu and Yandex, those markets where they don't already dominate?
Yeah, obviously we know the great firewall in China, so obviously Baidu, it's dominant there. And yeah, Yandex, mostly in Russia, we go Yahoo. Honestly, I think it's a bit hard to overtake Google, but I see a lot of new search engines coming up. There is one that I quite like for the principle they have. It's called Ecosia, and they kind of like plant tree based on X amount of searches that they get. I think they're based in Germany or something. And they're growing a lot. Or even like DuckDuckGo is another one. And they're serving like, don't quote me on this, but I think like 100 million searches a day or something like that. You can go Google it afterwards.
Google it, not DuckDuckGo it.
Exactly. So yeah, but no. To answer your question, probably no. Don't, at least not in the medium term, not in the next like 5 to 10 years, I think.
Yeah, they have a strong dominance. It's going to be difficult for anyone to overtake them. Especially, the only way I think someone can overtake them is if they show that they don't really care about data protection. And a competitor offers the best data protection in the market. I think that's what will get the people switching over. Otherwise, I don't really see anyone overtaking them.
That's a fair point. I never thought about it. I mean, I had similar thought, but this is actually on point.
Yeah, data protection, I think that's the biggest concern as far as online and marketing goes. So, Nicole, where can people find you? You have a website or?
Yes.
LinkedIn?
So mostly I rant about SEO on LinkedIn. You can just like Nico Bortoluzzi, and you will find me there. And then I have a website, is SEO-links, like the animal.co.uk. And yeah, those are the two main channels that I use. And yeah. Okay,
I'll be sure to link it in the description below. All right, Nico, thanks so much for your time. Hope the sun lingers for a bit longer and you can enjoy the late afternoon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Nico. Cheers. I'll speak with you some more time.
Okay, bye.
Cheers. Bye now.